A boy who has a bad Christmas accidentally summons a festive demon to his family home. Krampus is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside Movies. This month we're tackling all Christmas themed movies. So kicking it off first, we're going to go with Krampus. And then next week we've got like Love Actually, Jingle All the Way, and Lethal Weapon. So I hope you brought your festive spirit. I know I have. I'm joined by writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK, novelist Andrew Buckley, and the editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing, Murphey. Okay, so let's get into it. What do we like about Krampus? What's the good?
I'm happy that I had a reason to finally watch it because I really enjoyed it. The Krampus design, once you see him like up close, like in Grandma's face and the tongue, like it's disgusting, and I love it.
Yeah, I liked all the practical effects. I really liked the design of Krampus, and I also really liked the killer teddy bear. That guy with like the razor sharp teeth, he was awesome.
I had unfortunately high expectations for this movie, too high, and then I remembered it's a low budget horror movie that lots of people ended up hearing about, and that like fixed the last half of the film for me. Such great practical effects, really great. All my criticisms of it, which come later, really you should put into perspective based on they only had a small budget, a small amount of time to shoot it, and they pulled off a practical effects, wizardry, horror movie. Beautiful.
It's crazy to me to hear that this was a low budget film because the casting is like, you've got some big names in there. Jason Sudeikis, right?
No,
Is his name?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. Why do I have whatever? Adam Scott. I know that I've seen the mom and tons of stuff like that. Those were two pretty big gets for like an indie film.
One of my favorite things about this movie is Toni Collette. I like to think about Krampus as the backstory of her character from Hereditary, and like that happened to her, and that's why all that other supernatural stuff happens to their family in Hereditary. That maybe if you watch Hereditary and think about it's a cult of Christmas people, Krampus cult is what really levels up. That's a good way to think about this movie. But she's a phenomenal actress and great to see her in anything.
I think I've seen like the first 15 minutes of this movie, but for some reason never saw the rest of it. So it was an interesting watch. It was a kind of a fun little Christmas home invasion fantasy horror. I love the little psycho gingerbread men. They were so much fun and so weirdly malicious and horrible, but really cute, kind of lovely and endearing.
Yeah, no, I liked them. The movie just kind of gave me like a Gremlins vibe, throughout which, if you're new to the channel, we reviewed Gremlins and Die Hard last Christmas time. So go back and find those episodes. But yeah, it's from Michael Dougherty, who directed Trick or Treat. And so if you're into like indie horror movies, then like check this one out.
I read a review that called this movie Gremlins plus Home Alone.
Totally.
And the house is basically the house from Home Alone. So it's not without those. And it has all those good things. I just wish, like, for example, I love anytime like evil toys come alive and try to get somebody. I'm all for it. So I wanted like 10% more of every evil toy scene. I wanted like 30% more of every evil Krampus attack. I wanted more tracking hoof tracks in the snow. I wanted a bigger world, but like, all those things were hampered in by the limitations of the film. So a super ambitious story that they did really well, considering like getting that movie made in the first place must have been just a nightmare.
Sorry. Honestly, the last thing that I really liked was the opening scene of the Black Friday madness, people getting tased, like all of that awful stuff. As someone that worked in retail during like the time when Black Friday was this kind of like scary event that people were dying and getting arrested, working through those times, like I thought it was hilarious And I just like all those people that got hurt and tased in that scene. I was just like, good. It brought me back to a time that was not fun.
In the interest of being continuity keeper for our channel, George, I will say that we could imagine that the Black Friday sale tussle from Krampus connects to the Jingle All the Way hunt for that evil toy. Somewhere, if you can, just right in your imagination, you can imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger flinging dudes around in there. Sinbad peeking around the corner, but he's getting tased. He deserves it.
The last thing I had on my good list was the dialogue is really like nicely easy. It's either nicely written or just really nicely delivered. Like it's funny. There's some great funny little lines in there. It kind of takes on a wonderful little journey where it's serious and then it's scary and then it's funny and then it's serious and then it's scary and then it's funny, and you don't really know which way the movie is pulling you or which way it's trying to convince you what it's supposed to be, I guess.
It had a good balance.
It kind of did.
That's my bad. I thought it didn't have the right balance, but we could.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah,
sure it was well balanced.
This Christmas movie was a bloody good time. And you know what else is full of blood? Murphey.
This December, check out Born of Blood #3 on Kickstarter. This is the 32-page Kickstarter special edition. We're going to have bonus content in there. We're going to have some amazing cover lineups for you guys. Born of Blood #1 was our Kickstarter in December of 2021. It was our biggest Kickstarter we've ever done. So we're really, really going to try to make this as just as exciting and a really amazing event. So go check out merckickstarter.com to find the Born of Blood #3 campaign.
And I've included a link in the description of this video. So make sure you click that link and go check out Born of Blood. It's an excellent series. Let's get into the bad. What did we not like about Krampus?
Didn't know if it was trying to be funny or scary. And it
Both.
And it was trying to be both, but it would switch channels. And so you'd have these horrific events where you would honestly think, okay, that is trauma for the rest of your lives. You should probably be shaking. And then we're going to have a funny quip. We're going to go to sleep. We're going to wake up and have a new adventure. It didn't, I don't know. There was a little too much tonal dissonance for me. I wanted more Krampus to be more scary. I wanted the toys to be more savage. I wanted there to be more consequences. And before you say, but it was all a dream in the end.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah. I think that would have actually helped if it had had even more of a nightmare feeling, so that then when the kid wakes up and everyone is like, oh, we had this terrible nightmare, it would have actually been a nightmare. If they're thinking about it, if you really think about it, they had the experience we saw, which was half funny and half terrible. You're not going to learn a lesson from that.
I really, the only big one that I have is I just hated the elves. I couldn't, I don't know. I just thought they were too cheesy. I love all the toys and like the Jack in the Box and Krampus himself, but like the elves, I was just like, it pulled me out of it. I don't know what it was about them, but I just, that was too far on the we're scary but we're funny side for me.
Yeah, totally. For me, it was a long time before like anybody got like picked off, and I felt like a lot of the kills were off screen. Like they're just getting sucked down into the snow. Like, come on, dude. Like, I'm here for a horror movie. I want a little bit of gore and a little bit more suspense, and just getting sucked into the snow is kind of lame.
I have a question for you, George, that I don't know the answer to, or the cinephiles in our channel who know more. What was the actual like cinematic release rating of that film? Was it a 14? Is that why all the blood was off screen?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I remember I saw this movie in the theater when it first came out, and I remember apologizing to my wife as we walked out because she was just not feeling it.
It was a PG-13.
That was your answer, George.
I think it might have been more budgetary though, as well. You know, like it's just cheaper not to show the deaths, because you can have a PG-13 rating and still show kind of deaths on screen if they're not seeing any blood, right?
I hate the it's all a dream bullshit trope. I think it's a lazy ass way to end the story. And even worse, this one just leaves it in open interpretation. Are they trapped in a snow globe and that's their punishment? And they're just forced to relive Christmas over and over again?
Or I like that ending better. Then it's not a dream.
Well,
No,
those are
I don't think it's a dream.
what?
No, that was the whole thing, is that he brought them to hell, and they're in a snow globe. And if anything else, Krampus is actually a good guy, because they're in a snow globe and they're enjoying Christmas.
Or is that supposed to be his Christmas-themed surveillance equipment?
Okay, so those are the two different versions of this ending. Even told by the director, who was like, "Well, it's either this or it's this." I'm like, "Well, great. You don't know the end to your own fucking story.
Like
It's
Tron,
either."
it has an ending you can decide on.
Oh, I hate that though. Just end the damn thing. It's either that he's watching them, and that's how he watches everybody that he's taught a lesson to, because of all those snow globes and his surveillance, or it's the actual Krampus myth is that he drags you to hell for like 4 years or something like that. Like, that's the whole point, and that is their version of hell, is that they keep living Christmas over and over again, trapped in a snow globe. I don't know. I hated the ending of this. It drove me nuts. It almost ruined the entire thing for me, because I was marginally enjoying it until they pulled that crap, and then I was like, nah, fuck this movie.
See, what I wanted, once they had the snow globe ending, what I wanted was a scene previously in the movie where they try to leave the snowstorm, try to leave their little street, and they get stopped by something, and they don't know
Perfect.
why. And then we could have called back to them being actually in a snow globe in hell. I would have been
Done. Would have loved that part.
For me, my biggest problem with the movie is it's like the tonal thing, and like the parents don't act appropriately. Like when their kids get murdered, they're just like, oh well, and they just kind of keep on going. Like if I see my kid eaten by like a living Jack in the Box, I'm gonna be a mess, and I'm not just gonna like take a nap later. Like it's
That is 100% my problem with this film. It's like the parents don't suffer. And if it is supposed to be a hellish lesson, shouldn't that be what they're feeling?
that's what's so tough about horror comedies, is balancing the two things but having it all be believable. This one, it had some good horror and it had some good comedy, but it didn't all kind of make sense together.
But that's where this fails anyway. I mean, the whole point of these Christmas folklore tales is usually the same as fairy tales. They're teaching some sort of a lesson. It's unclear as to what lesson this one really taught. And they mixed in like freaking the Krampus folklore and Icelandic folklore, and they're grabbing shit from all over freaking Europe. But it just didn't, I don't know, it didn't hit as strong in the end as it could have done. And maybe it was budgetary, maybe it was story delivery, I don't know. But it didn't, it missed a mark at the end.
Yeah, depending on where you're sitting or which side of the Canadian-U.S. border you're on, I think it's like between $16 and $18 million they spent making it. There is no way, if you give me $18 million, that I could pull off a film as ambitious and as well crafted as that one. So, like, it's incredible what they achieved, and I think they made between $60 and $80 million at the box office from it. So that's, whatever we don't like about it, everyone else liked it fine when they went to get their ticket.
My wife didn't like it fine, but I liked it enough. One thing also I didn't like really love about this one is I like the character designs, but Krampus's mouth doesn't move, and he doesn't talk, and it kind of seems like it's like just a mask.
It's supposed to be. That was the point of it. You were never supposed to see Krampus's real face, because the director wanted to open to interpretation as to what people's nightmares would look like when it's facing back at you. And so he wore a mask.
I guess so, but like as we covered in like our Halloween movie reviews, like my favorite villains are kind of a little bit more chatty, like the Freddy Kruegers and the Chuckies, and less the kind of silent stalker that's always kind of coming for you, like Krampus was, or Michael Myers, or something like that.
Yeah, if we're talking about things that were also like could have been better in the film, I think that there was a lot of rushed dialogue. Like it felt like a bunch of good actors being stuck on either one take or one version that needed a rewrite on a bunch of their deliveries. And I think that really is typified by how they are having to deal with the horrible murdering of their own children before their eyes and their reactions to it. They're trying to react as actors to it, but the lines are holding them back.
Absolutely. Let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for Krampus.
I'll give Krampus 2.5 little families trapped in a snow globe out of 5. It's a pretty good. It gets almost all the way there. If you're looking for a good Christmas horror movie, maybe it gets a higher rating, but it's just a movie overall. I'd give it 2.5 little families trapped in an ornament.
I give it 2.5 homicidal gingerbread men cookies out of 5. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's just like very monotone entry for me.
Can I ask you a question, Andrew?
Yeah.
Which half of the gingerbread man is it? Is it his head and his arms, or is it just the legs? Because that actually colors your review quite specifically.
I'm going to leave that open to interpretation, much like this movie's ending does, and let George figure that crap out when he has to animate this crap together.
I give it a B-. It's a fun Christmas horror movie, but it could have been better. I would have liked it if the kills were on screen and if Krampus talked or said something at the very end, instead of just standing there slack-jawed, rubbing his finger on people's faces.
I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 extended family members home for the holidays. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's cheesy. Yeah, it had some problems, but I think if you come into it just without expectations, I had a great time.
So that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. I've been George Michail, joined by GMB CHOMICHUK, Andrew Buckley, and Murphey. Go check out the Born of Blood Kickstarter, link in the description of this video. And until next time, peace.